Greetings, dear viewers. You are watching CouchWarrior TV on YouTube. I am the CouchWarrior, and today I am talking about a couple of fun things that are going on with the channel and with the podcast, and in particular, a couple mods I'm working on. This one is called Smuggler's Barrels. You can create these at a crafting station using 2 pieces of firewood, 1 corundum ingot, and 1 filled petty soul gem. Essentially what these are movable statics that are also storage containers and buoyant. And these are really created primarily as a role-playing device. I made them for myself, but thought it would be kind of fun to actually release these to the public. So this character, Robard Graves, if you've been listening at all to the podcast, is going to be the subject of an upcoming Let's Play for me, and he is a thief, but primarily a smuggler. And I role-play him that way. This is a mod that I created for myself. One of my objectives in-game as part of my role-play is to find a way to move contraband to all the major cities in Skyrim without using the roads. So if this is the objective, we have a number of resources at our disposal. You know, we can obviously tunnel, we can use mountain paths, but one of the resources we have in abundance in Skyrim is waterways, in particular rivers, but rivers which are filled with rapids and waterfalls and all kinds of dangerous obstacles. So my thought was any enterprising smuggler would find a way around this, and one way around this may be to create a sort of magically enhanced barrel that is designed to be indestructible. And that is where Smuggler's Barrels comes into effect. So if you think about the game, barrels in-game are typically statics. They're not movable statics. In other words, they are an item that you can interact with. In other words, you can store things inside them, but you can't move them unless you use something like Jackson's Positioner. And if you have used Jackson's Positioner to move a barrel, you will know that if you drop the barrel above the ground, it just hangs in midair. It doesn't drop to the ground. In other words, it does not respond to the in-game physics. That means that it is a static. What I wanted to do is create a barrel that is a movable static. So I started with a static mesh of a barrel. I used a smaller barrel, which is actually a modified mead barrel. And I updated the model so that it would respond to physics, making it a movable static. The next objective from there was to find a way to take a movable static and make it into a container. And that is essentially what I've done here. This is a barrel that I created at the crafting station. We'll drop one here and kind of give you an example of what's going on here. So we'll just drop one for now. All right, and it weighs about 3.5 pounds. If I click on this now, I can actually see what's inside it, and I can put things in it, and I can hold down the use key, and I can move it around just like I would items in my house, like a book or a plate or a cup, things like that. So essentially, I have converted a static into a movable static and made it into a storage container. Now I had to do some scripting and a few other tricks in order to make it craftable, because now we have a movable static that is a container that you can put in your inventory, which was the next step. You may notice that I've also done some customization here of the textures. My idea here was that if we're going to float a bunch of barrels down the river after dark, that they should be camouflaged. So they all feature a black, kind of black paint job here. So I just dumped 20 skooma bottles inside this. Now I could chuck this into the river and down it would go. These are fairly buoyant, so they will bob in the water fairly high above the surface. And you can kind of wade in and grab them, move them around, do anything you want to. It's pretty cool. So let's drop a few in here. Now, one thing that has been actually kind of fun about this is in order to really make this work smoothly, you may have to choose your routes carefully and then also make some subtle tweaks to the riverbanks in order to make your barrels flow smoothly. But for me, that has actually been half the fun. As a kid, I loved it. You know, when it rained outside and the water was running down the end of the driveway, I'd go down there and build dams and all this stuff. I actually spent hours just kind of playing around, floating barrels down the river and kind of watching them go over the waterfalls and stuff, which has been really kind of fun. So if we go down here, because it's a movable static, it'll just roll downhill and right into the stream. I'm picking it up with a use key. Just going to drop it in, and off it goes. Now in Skyrim, the riverbeds actually flow and they turn, and you know, they have banks and corners and stuff like that, but the water that flows through them flows straight. The fact that it looks like the water is flowing around corners is a trick of the eye. The water itself, the current, runs straight. So this is where we run into some issues. If we have a tight bend in the river, sometimes our barrels can get hung up. They can also get hung up on debris. The debris is easier to deal with than some of the curves in the river. But given that the barrels are cylindrical in shape, oftentimes they will simply roll around obstacles. In this example, we're at the abandoned prison, and this chunk of wall here is actually captured a couple of our barrels inside it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab these barrels and toss them in the river and let them continue on downstream. There's one. We'll get the other here. So I've sent the barrels downstream. Now the next thing I'm going to do is modify the riverbank here, because this is an area I want to use as a regular part of my smuggling route. So I'm going to make an adjustment to this wall. Now the way that I can actually select this landscape item is I'm going to go into the console and I'm going to use the console to actually select it. So we select it, we've got the ID. Now I exit the console and I activate Jackson's positioner. Now at this point I have complete control over this chunk of wall. So I'm going to rotate it. Okay, we're effectively closed off that gap. And now I'm going to push it back into the hillside a little bit. I'm not compromising the continuity of the game here or anything like that. I'm just making a slight position change so that our barrels can actually roll along here easier and not get hung up. Now let's swim down to the bridge. Okay, here's our 3 barrels. They are passing under the bridge. Now we've got some more debris here that are going to catch our barrels. So this is another spot where we're going to make a minor modification. So let me speed this up a little bit while we make some adjustments to these rocks and trees that are laying in the stream. Again, we're not compromising continuity of the game, just making an adjustment. That about does it. Let's drop one more barrel in here and do a quick test. We'll just drop it in on this side of the bridge and then go and see what happens. Now again, those were just minor tweaks. So sometimes you can just leave the object exactly where it is but rotate it slightly, and that is enough to let objects pass by more effectively. So let's just drop one more in for our test. Again, one of the other things that helps a lot too is if you're running multiple barrels downriver, quite often they will push each other along. So if one gets hung up, the one behind it will come along and push it forward, and they'll just keep rolling. One caveat here is that you do need to follow the barrels downriver. You can't just let them go and then go downstream and expect them to show up. They will travel to a distance equal to where your detailed textures start to drop off. So the closer that is, the sooner your barrels will stop. I hope you enjoy this. It's a fun little role-playing thing. This is a beta, but I hope to roll something out soon, and you too can smuggle like a boss.